We're up.
Yes, we're up.
Nice. Cool. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the first live session of Sound of Anarchy. Woo!
Woo!
So, I guess you know us by now. But I'm Elik, and this is.
I'm Alon. Hi.
We both have the Yala podcast, and I wanted to start. I actually got inspiration from you that you started doing the revolution session in your channel. Do you want to say something about it?
Yeah, so on my channel, The Hebrew Canaanite, look it up on YouTube. Second best channel on YouTube after Elik's channel. I started doing something called Revolution Live. I had a 1 week straight where I did a live session every day. And then some stuff happened, and I might say a few things about what happened that made me stop for a few days, but I will continue tomorrow. I will continue again doing live sessions. I don't know if every day, but maybe 3-4 times a week, because every day is really hard. Yeah. But maybe 3-4 times a week, and I use it as a platform to say whatever is on my mind, whatever is on my heart, in a very raw way, even more raw than the way we usually are.
Yeah, we're always raw. Nice, we already have 3 people. Well,
yeah,
that's
hello,
a lot. Welcome. So yeah, I wanted a bit to. First of all, I feel there's many things going on. There's a ceasefire in Gaza, and we wanted to discuss our thoughts and emotions and what kind of also how we look back on the past 15 months. What are our hopes? And I feel there's a lot of things I wanted to say. I personally, because what we do is also always, we're not just, we're not experts or political analysts. We're just people who want to create a world that is better than what they are brought up into. And I think we both feel that we are sold ideologies and that kind of supposed to make us feel that the world we live in is kind of a given. It's a given that once in a while we live in a country where everyone go to the army and subjugate other people. We call it in different names, but this is what we do. And once in a while we massacre them. And this is kind of, we're sold many theories and ideologies that say it's kind of our fate and we just have to accept it. And it got so severe the last 15 months. So, and I keep thinking about it. How come this world we live in, this is the given that, we live our normal life, we meet people, we kind of interact, but then you have to accept genocide that happens next door, and everyone around is kind of normalizing it, and this is what we learn is like the natural way of being.
And just a few hours ago, there was an explosion, the sound of an explosion outside our window.
Yeah.
We're in my place now, in Haifa, okay? And for the last few days, there's been all kinds of explosions all the time. And there's all kinds of explosions all the time here in occupied Palestine, all the time. Mm. And people just accept it. Like, you can get scared about the explosion, you can be like alarmed, and then, I don't know, I write a message in the neighborhood WhatsApp group, and people forward this message that came from Rafael, הרשות לפיתוח אמצעי לחימה, the, I don't know, authority for the development of arms. Hey Daniel, how are you? Nice to see you. And הרשות לפיתוח אמצעי לחימה, they send a message that everything is okay, we're just doing routine exercises, we're just doing routine explosions. Don't worry, the explosions are okay. Just continue on with your lives. Explosions are fine.
And yeah, and it's like so many things are being normalized, like that half of the people like are wearing uniforms and carrying guns. You know?
Yes,
like
yes. Just sitting in the train
Yeah.
in front of you, there's a soldier carrying a gun. I don't know if the gun is if the safety is on. I don't know how responsible this 20-year-old guy is with the gun, but I need to sit next to him, and it's like I cannot even say anything. It would be weird to say anything about this.
And I think when you normalize evil, whatever evil is, like the bar is going higher and higher and higher, you know. And I think I ask myself, how much will the you know what we're being asked to accept is becoming more horrific and more horrific and more horrific, and just people accept it and accept it and accept it. And you know, I was also accepting pretty much before, but you know, suddenly I feel like I don't like say woke up and all this, but it's kind of waking up to.
I feel like it is waking up. I feel like I'm waking up more and more every day.
Yeah, and then suddenly you ask yourself how much, and then you see people around that, look, you know, this doesn't shake them. Like they know like 17,000 children have been killed in Gaza.
This is a gross underestimate. We must
a gross
say this.
underestimate, and this is kind of, that's normal. We just accept it, and I want to start this. So we started talking about this, and before the live, I said in my video, we are going live on this and that. I said on the, and I wrote, and I said Palestine time. Now,
yes, 4 p.m. Palestine time.
Now I think you were doing it for longer time.
Yes, I don't use Israel time. I don't use this term anymore. I don't use the term Israel anymore in a way that is like transparent. I never say Israel unless I'm specifically talking about the structure that was created by the Zionist colonialist project. Like the Israel, to me, is the name of like one of the main aspects of the Zionist project. Yeah. It's not the country that I live in. It's not a land. A lot of Israelis will tell you the land of Israel. No, the land is Palestine, and the project is Israel.
So I saw Daniel wrote, Elik, at some point, and love to hear you share about your experience protesting at the IDF military headquarters. The video of the various reactions that you get is wild. Yeah, I will talk about it.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's a good idea to talk about it in this live, because it's a very interesting subject. I also want to hear about it more.
Yeah, it was a weird experience, very weird. It's part of, you know, so I will get to it, and it's connected maybe, because it's like I said Palestine time, and then a friend wrote me, why do you say Palestine time? And yes. I'm kind of feel, and then I suddenly got a bit kind of anxiety, because I feel sometimes that when I'm confronted with people from my society, I don't know to explain why. Like, I feel I have to get into this defensive mode, and I feel like I've done something wrong maybe, and how do I explain to my position to somebody that for them it sounds like I want all of us to be exterminated.
Yeah, thrown in the sea.
Thrown in the sea. But, and I feel there's many aspects to it why I say Palestine, but a big part of it that I don't want to normalize the violence that this state and society is part of. Like, in order to be part of this society and part of this state, you have to normalize extreme level of violence. And to me, like saying I don't want to recognize this place or this society is because I don't want to normalize this level of violence. I don't want to be a member of a club that part of being in that club is treating the murder of so many people as something that is part of the price you pay to be part of that club. Like, it's kind of saying, I'm not part of your club anymore.
Yes.
And
Yes.
beyond the fact that I think it finally, like, I'm trying to unpack what this statement means. So it means like I'm rejecting this both regime, the Israeli regime, but also I reject the mentality and the collective consciousness that you need to have in order to be part of that society.
That the regime, nurtures.
Yeah, that the
manufactures
regime,
and nurtures all the time.
Yeah, I'm rejecting it. And Palestine, to me, it's, first of all, it's a geographic place. It's more neutral. It's just calling the place as it is, but it's also...
So the Zionists will say that it's not neutral, that it's one side, but I think that the very fact that they think that it's not neutral is the problem here.
Yeah.
They are so biased that neutrality feels biased to them.
Yeah. But I also think that, and this is something that we need to say maybe, that at the end, when you really go through this de-Zionization process, you accept that this place is Palestine. It's a big part of it. Like, to me, you can say just a name. Why don't you say you want democracy from the river to the sea? But don't say it have to be Palestine. Why do you insist on saying this name? And I feel like saying this name is somehow important, right? It's not like...
Yes, I think it's parallel to the discussion that we have about why is it so important to call what has been happening in the last 15 months genocide.
Yeah.
Because words mean something. Words, it's no coincidence that the Zionist propaganda is so focused on the language that we use, that they want to engineer the language that we use, and I think capitalism wants to engineer the language that we use, and patriarchy and all the oppressive systems always want to engineer the language that we use in order to fit their own purposes. And when we change the language that we use, we both indicate what position we are in, and it creates a difference in our own minds. The way that we think changes, and I think also this creates a ripple effect that we affect people around us, and we show that this language is just one possibility, and maybe not the best possibility, and maybe the worst possibility. One of the worst possibilities.
Yeah.
And then suddenly there's like a spectrum of possibilities. I use this, you use this. Now let's talk about it.
Yeah.
And it's not transparent anymore.
Yeah, it's kind of, instead of going into argument, you open a door to a different point of view at the whole thing and the whole framing of the situation, in a way, right? When you say like, but I think in a way, I feel like in a way, because people write to me all the time, in Palestine, you will be murdered. In Palestine, when you say you want to be part of Palestine, you're going to be thrown to the sea. Mm-hmm. You're pathetic. Go to Gaza. Let's see what they do to you, right? This is kind of the reactions I get all the time.
Yes.
And actually what happens that in Israel, Palestinians are going through genocide right now. This is what actually happening, not in some hypothetical situation.
Yes.
And like there is this, like they think, the people who write it, like you live in some democracy and now you're using that democracy to promote a solution that if it will be implemented, you're gonna die. And I wonder, and to me, like when I say this is Palestine, it's the option of creating a situation where one identity or ethnic identity doesn't matter that much, that you can just live in equality. And And when I say it as a possibility, I also recognize that that's how it was in the past.
Yes.
And I also point to a future where this is a possibility. Now, I don't know. Maybe in the future, I don't know what the future Palestinian state gonna be, and there is option that it will be oppressive to the.
All states are oppressive. That's
All
why we
states-
say that we are for the no-state
states.
solution and not the one-state solution. But maybe more oppressive than usual. I don't know.
I don't know. There's an option, but at least what I know for sure that the Zionist state is inherently have to commit genocide and ethnic cleansing. It's intrinsic part of the regime. And
Yes.
when I point to Palestine, I say two things. First, it was a place that ethnicity and religion wasn't the main issue. Like people coexisted and no group claimed the superiority over other.
Yes.
And also I point to a future possibility that I prefer because I know I don't accept what happened now, and what happened the last 15 months is just an example of
Yes.
where it goes.
I want to like I was having the same thought when you started explaining this point, and the way that I thought about it was that it used to be Palestine for like, I don't know, 2,000 years or something like that. It used to be Palestine, and then in the beginning of the 20th century, something happened, and they started creating this project called Israel. And in 1948, they proclaimed that this project. They said this is Israel now.
Mm-hmm.
And ever since, it's been like an accepted fact that this is Israel all over the world in some sense.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to say something different. We want to say, no, it was always Palestine, it's still Palestine. And this phase where they forced the name Israel and everything that comes with it, the whole Zionist project on this area, is a blip in history. And it shouldn't be taken as something, transparent and taken for granted. It's like, okay, so this phase happened. It's like, let's say 100 years, and we're going to get past it and return this land to be called Palestine and return it to the way that it was and improve upon it. We don't just want it to be the way that it was. We want it to be better and better and better. This is the land where we were born. We want it to be as free as possible. We want life for everyone here to be as good as possible, right?
Yeah, and it's like I'm thinking about like what Muhammad told us in our previous episode, that he said, like, if you didn't watch it, it's our last episode on the Yala podcast, and the last 10 minutes it was with Muhammad Zrai from Gaza.
Yes.
And he said, like, Palestinians are always, it's a mixture of many groups. We're connected, many people were going through this land over
Yes.
time. And what makes you different, the Zionist, is your ideology. It's not that you couldn't become Palestinians. Like, you could be just another group for the many groups that build this
Yes.
area, but you have this ideology that makes you are excluding yourself.
Yes.
So we don't want to exclude ourselves from this area. And
yes, I think it's something that characterizes all supremacist ideologies, all exclusionary ideologies. When you feel that you are above others, then in some sense you are. Or I think this is the main thing that you are doing is you're taking yourself out of everything. Like so when we say that ideologies of supremacy are not just something that hurts those who are lower on the hierarchy, they also hurt those who are supposedly higher on the hierarchy. I think this is what we mean, that those who consider themselves superior are also taking themselves out, and therefore they cannot connect with their environments, and then they feel foreign, and then they feel that they have to compensate for something, and then they start acting violent like we see Zionists do, for example.
Yeah, and it's a very lonely. Look how like Zionists feel now. It's lonely. Everyone hates you. It's like we are here in the Middle East. We cannot go anywhere. We're also in some kind of jail. We're not
Yes.
connected to our surrounding. And people like people here, the way to go out was through the airport to go to Europe or whatever. But now also in the other places in the world, Israelis feel less wanted. And
yes, suddenly Israeli soldiers are being persecuted by authorities all around the world for committing war crimes. And suddenly a little bit of consequences, just a slight bit of justice is emerging, and the Israelis are freaking out about this.
Yeah, it's like not allowing so many historical traumas to heal, and it's just perpetuating them. And I don't know, I wanted a bit to talk about my feeling about the ceasefire and what I think about it. Like
yes. I just want to say one technical comment, if you want. I can read the chat and tell you some stuff when I feel that it's a good time, and then you can concentrate on your own.
I can also just a bit answer.
Maybe let's do one small session of answering some stuff.
What Daniel
Daniel said prosecuted, not persecuted. Yeah, that's true, but let's hope that they are actually prosecuted. Let's hope that it actually happens. We don't know if it actually happens or just a show. And there are questions about the West Bank. What are you hearing in Israel about the annexation of the West Bank? I'm really worried about that. Thank you for everything. And also, are there any groups that are forming links with Palestinians living in the West Bank, making mutual aid groups, for example? What do you think about what's going in the West Bank, what's going on in the West Bank, and supposed plans for annexation?
I know there are many groups. I haven't been part of it. I want to go to, Mount Hebron and all the places that are being ethnically cleansed. So there's a lot of solidarity groups who try to protect them from settlers and and from the
violence of settlers with the idea.
And there is a lot of group and friends that going regularly, and I think I don't know, what we're doing with the ODSI, there are some members from the West Bank that it's in a way, I think it's also a way of
let me just clarify. ODSI, One Democratic State Initiative. It's a shared initiative between Palestinians who live in Palestine, Palestinians in the diaspora, and also just like Lebanese people or Syrian people, whatever. And also we joined this initiative. This is how we met Muhammad from Gaza. We did two interviews with already, and we might have more. So this is an initiative that is trying to establish one democratic state with equality and justice for all inhabitants between the river and the sea.
Yeah. So I think this kind of, I think it's a big thing, like this initiative, and for us to be part of it, I would would like to be part of it more. And I think it includes there are Palestinians from the West Bank who are part of it.
Yes.
And I'm talking more and more with Palestinians who share this vision. I don't know, I think I don't want to talk on the behalf of all the Palestinians. I don't know, but I think the idea of democratic Palestine, that everyone live in equality, is something that we share in common more with Palestinians than with Israelis. I don't know the percentage, and I'm sure there are many Palestinians now who any thought of living with Israelis together look like a crazy dream after what happened.
Which is completely understandable.
Yeah, but I think if you think about the situation rationally, I don't see any other option.
Yes.
You can even if now all the Israelis and all the Palestinians will not believe in it at all, I would still, and I will be the only one who believe in it, I would still feel it's the only rational solution.
And there will be a majority of one.
I will, yeah, that's like, look, there is people here, they share the land, and they have to live in equality, right?
Like we always say, it's just acknowledging reality.
Yeah,
there is a reality where there are 15 million people living here between the river and the sea, and 6-7 million more people who have refugee status because they were kicked out of here in 48, or around 1948, or their descendants. This is just people who like what are we going to do about it? This is just a fact of reality. And now the question is only do we acknowledge this fact of reality, or do we not acknowledge it?
Yeah, I don't see any other way forward. So do you want to take some more comments? Or
yes. So a follow-up question: as far as the settler attacks go, do they face any consequences through legal aid groups, for example? I just want to give a very simple answer. Israeli soldiers, Israeli settlers who are violent toward Palestinians rarely, if ever, face any sort of consequence. And if they do face some consequence, it's always like a slap on the wrist, and no more than that. The regime wants them to do it. They are serving the regime when they do it. It's not. It might be illegal, but it's just what happens.
Yeah, sometimes the police take them and for a few days and then release them.
Yes. And there's a couple of comments here. So someone is asking, what do you learn about us Palestinians? So Hussam is a Palestinian. Hello and welcome. What do you learn about us Palestinians in school or when growing up? And there's already an answer. You can read this interesting book by Nurit Peled Elchanan called Palestine in Israeli School Books, Ideology and Propaganda in Palestine in Israeli School Books, Ideology and Propaganda in Education, suggested because Palestine within Israeli schools was mentioned.
Yeah.
So you know Nurit, right? You spoke to her? Or do you know?
I know Ami, her husband.
Okay,
yeah, and I know, and I met Miko also when I was, it's the sister of Miko Pelen.
Yes.
Yeah, I heard interviews about this book, but I think we can also answer from my experience. I think it's like, first of all, it's not like people think they're demonized, the Palestinians are, it's not like, right? It's not like the Jews were demonized in Nazi Germany.
I think it's mostly like ignored.
More ignored, yeah. It's like, ignored, and you know that they never accepted us.
Yes.
They will never let us live our own life. They never accepted any peace deal. And they're kind of a permanent threat to our existence. The Arabs, and especially the Palestinians, but I think most of Israelis even accept it as the Arabs. First you have the Palestinians who are the worst, but then
one of the arguments that Israelis like to give about Palestinians is they have 22 states of their own. Let them go there.
Yeah.
They have 20 because to Israelis, Arabs are Arabs. If you're Lebanese, if you're Syrian, if you're Moroccan, it doesn't matter. There are 22 Arab states. I don't know where they got this number.
Yeah, and it's this people.
How, but
yeah.
It's like Palestinians should go there.
Yeah, and Israelis know they have to go to the army to go to serve and serve the occupation, but it's kind of, there are these people there, they hate us, they don't want us, and we have to do it. It's kind of, I feel it's it's more like ignoring, and the ignorance make it, and then when there is a kind of it's like I heard Mustafa Barghouti says once in an interview that if you're a Palestinian, you are being politicized, and since very young age you understand what the occupation is, and I feel like Israelis go opposite. You are depoliticized, like you're programmed not to understand what's going on. It's like kind of, and many Israelis will tell you, I don't understand, I don't like politics.
Yeah.
Right? Like you hear it all the time. And
like it's your choice to be involved in politics or not to be. Like living your life is not political. Every single
Yeah.
moment of your life is not political in some sense, you know.
and you do your service in the military, and
Which
you
is
do-
not political. Oh,
it's not political. It's demanded of us. You don't understand
the
what
army?
you're really doing.
Yes.
And then when you finish, you're really encouraged to be very like career oriented. You go to India, you do your psychedelics or whatever. You become spiritual. You become individual, and you don't want to think about this. You don't want to think about what you did.
Yeah.
And you kind of individualized in a way, and you don't.
Atomized.
And then when there is some violence or resistance that happens from the Palestinian side, you don't have context, you don't understand why it happened, and it's again, oh, these violent Arabs, and then everyone like agree to whatever the government decides.
Yes, because this is how the story is perpetuated, right? Why did they do 7th of October?
Yeah.
We did. There was peace before 7th of October.
Yeah.
So they must be terrorist monsters. Their culture must be fucked up. Everything about them is fucked up, because otherwise, why would they do 7th of October? I have no idea, and I cannot even start to imagine why they did 7th of October. Because they don't know. Because they have been, intentionally, ignorized. I don't know. They make Israelis ignorant all the time of what's going on around them. On the 7th of October, I had a discussion. I was walking around the street. I was walking a dog that I was taking care of at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I went by this synagogue. Okay, and it was Saturday, Shabbat. So there were people in the synagogue, and there was this guy, young guy, outside the synagogue. He was an ultra-Orthodox Jewish guy. And I talked to him, and we talked about what happened. And I told him, do you know that in the last year, before October 7th, hundreds of Palestinians were murdered by the Israeli regime? And he was like, no fucking way, no fucking way.
Yeah.
And this is just a fact. And he didn't just not know this fact. He also was absolutely sure that if it were true, he would know it.
Yeah.
So if he doesn't know it, then it must be false. You see the circular logic. And then and to him, the 7th of October was just something that sprung up out of nowhere.
Yeah. It's weird, huh? Because on one hand, there's so many contradictions you have to hold
Yes.
in your head at once. Well, hello from Yemen. That's nice. It's always cool. Huh? We're like, just that for me it's such an unusual thing to have people from close to where we live. It's like it's part of this normalization that we talked in the beginning. That it's like it's normal that all the countries all around you are your enemies, and the people who you feel associated with are like on the other
Europeans, Americans, and so forth and so on. You want to talk about the ceasefire? I think this was the main subject that we wanted to talk about.
Yeah, we talked for a half an hour already.
Yeah, it always happens.
Yeah. So first of all, I don't know. I had few things in my mind that I wanted to say. First of all, it's kind of bitter happiness, because I am happy that this horrific phase is kind of over, and I'm happy. And I was happy to see, I saw a picture of the Israeli hostage released with her mom, and I was happy to see it. Like they looked happy, and I saw Palestinian prisoners being released, and they looked.
You also look what happened. You said prisoners and hostages. You
so
said
I
this.
took you caught me on the Zionist propaganda.
Yes. It's still
here. And before that, I wanted to say. So I saw.
And we were talking about this before. We were talking about.
Correct.
But it's just like ingrained inside your brain, so deep in like the reptilian part of the brain that you're like.
Yeah, these are hostages. So let's say
they're all hostages.
They're all hostages, or you can say the Israelis are political.
They're all prisoners, or they're all hostages. I don't know. There's no real difference,
Yeah, but you got me.
Yeah.
But I wonder why I couldn't feel like
really happy.
Really happy.
Yeah.
And there was few
so
things that I wanted to. First of all, that I think that the genocide is not over. And this is an important thing to understand. I think that they unleashed such conditions that I don't know for how long people will continue to die from it, will
Yes.
continue to suffer the trauma from it. I don't know how you reconstruct a place like this, and this is part of why we said it's a genocide. It's not just because it's way more than just the bombs and the direct killing. And this is something that, you know, like you have this happiness, but it's like I'm like this such a huge damage. I never seen such thing in my life. I don't
Yes.
know, like, how is it going to be rebuilt, and how is it going to look like? And I feel like that, and I a bit afraid, you know, from that the Palestinian issue will go down again. Like, you know, there was a lot of, and I kind of, part of the reason I wanted to do this live is to also encourage people not stop talking about it, because we're not, like, this genocide, it didn't finish and it didn't start also on
Yeah. On October 7th.
On October 7th. And we
Yes.
need to understand it, and to understand it, that the only thing that will really stop the genocide is truly liberated Palestine. Like, there is no, like, because this dynamic, maybe it's time to read what I...
Yes.
I'm just reading a book now of, it's a really good book about settler colonialism it's called...
What's the name of the author?
Yeah, I need to... Why doesn't... Wait, I need to go. It's called Settler Colonialism by Cy Engler. I don't know, it's in my Kindle. It's hard to...
Let me see if we can do this.
Yeah.
This is the book?
Yeah.
Now you want to read this paragraph from the book?
Yeah, and it's very interesting book about the dynamic of settler colonialism, and I thought, like, so the quote goes like this: the cycle which would define so much of settler colonial history would unravel as follows. Settlers lay claim on indigenous land, resources, and people. The latter rebel, after which more settler violence is unleashed to punish the transgressor. This is in turn allows settlers to claim more indigenous land, resources, and labor. So I think, like, as long as we have the settler colonial structure continue to exist, genocide is part of its logic. It's like, and I kind of wanted to ask, to think about what did they succeed to do in Gaza, and what they didn't. And we know they kind of, there was a movement to resettle the northern Gaza, and they didn't succeed to do it. So
yes.
I don't think Zionism is a settler colonial project that is going to succeed is final, you know.
Yes, like the U.S., for example.
Like the U.S.
That succeeded in the most superficial of ways.
Yeah.
In the most material of ways, they succeeded in almost destroying completely the indigenous people of Turtle Island, and taking over the entire land, and constructing their project there. They succeeded. Of course, this project is a complete failure, because look at it. You know, look at the head of the organization, who is the most despicable person in the world, and for good reason. He is the face of the United States. He is the rightful leader of the United States. I would say Donald Trump. It's no coincidence that he is the leader of the United States, because he represents what the United States is about completely and accurately. So I think in this sense, the United States is a complete failure, because it's one of the worst places on earth on a spiritual level, on a cognitive level, on an emotional level. Maybe materially they have a lot, but on every other level they have very, very little.
Yeah. So, but in this case, it's not going to succeed in that way. I think
not even in that way. You said.
Yeah, I think so. Like, but I just think that as long what I was saying that as long as this settler colonial dynamic is going to be the main dynamic, it's still we're going to see a lot of death and a lot of destruction and a lot of human suffering. And I also don't know how it's going to backfire to the Israelis. Like, I'm sure
it already is backfiring. We're already seeing some consequence, right?
Yeah.
I want to make what you said about the meaning of this ceasefire a little bit more explicit. We see the complete destruction in Gaza now. Every square inch of Gaza was bombed by the Israeli Air Force. You know how many tens of thousands of tons of bombs were dropped on Gaza? I don't even know anymore. And you see the images of before and after, and it's like completely destroyed. Everything is completely destroyed. And the conditions there now are such that even after they stopped, we have a ceasefire, they stopped bombing actively. But the conditions are such, they don't have any hospitals anymore. They don't have food. They don't have clean water. Everyone is injured. Everyone is completely exhausted, both physically and emotionally and psychologically. And now they need to reconstruct everything. So many people are going to die still, like years and years and years into the future. This is something horrific to acknowledge and to say, but this is just the truth. This is just reality. That 5 years from now, people are still going to die from what happened in the last 15 months, and maybe 10 years from now. I don't even know.
Yeah, we don't know.
And this is the continuation of the genocide. And we always, it's important for us to say, because I think that it's very critical to understand that these 15 months are not the genocide. It's just one very, extreme phase of a genocide that started. It depends on when you start counting, but you can start counting 100 years ago. You can start counting even 150 years ago. But this, from the start of the colonialist project, because the very infrastructure of settler colonialism includes the logic of genocide, this is an ongoing process. And the Nakba of 1948 was one, horrific phase of this ongoing genocide that's been going on for, let's say, a century. And what happened ever since 7th of October 2023 and until now is another, very horrific phase of the genocide. But the genocide didn't start on October 7th, and it didn't finish on, 18th of January 2025. It's an ongoing process.
Yeah. So what do we do? What is for me, I think I kind of feel that, continue to speak up for Palestine, and it's something that it's an obligation that the moment that you as an Israeli or Israeli citizen, you understand what you have been part of all your life, it's kind of obligation that you have to, until death. I don't know. I know I'm not saying this is the only thing I'm going to do, but I know that I have to continue to fight for it and to speak for it in my own ways. I don't know. I don't feel, this genocide, I don't feel that I did enough. Mm-hmm. I know that I did more than most of the Israelis, but it doesn't
or
say...
Or the 99.99% of Israelis. Let's say...
But it doesn't say necessarily something good.
No, it's a low bar. It's a low bar.
It's a low bar, yeah.
But still, it's true.
And I'm asking myself what they need to do more. If should I stay here? Should I go? There's so many questions about myself that I don't know how. And I feel like I would really want to bring more Israelis, more people to drop their Israelism, their Zionism, and to accept the idea of liberated Palestine, because it's also their liberation, you know. I feel like, and
Israelis will not be free until Palestine is free, because Israelis are just one group of Palestinians, and they do not understand this.
yeah,
Israelis, the vast majority of Israelis were born in Palestine. I don't know if the vast majority, but majority of Israelis were born in Palestine. Just a geographical fact, historical fact, just a fact of reality. They were born in Palestine, and in any case, the vast majority of them live in Palestine. And freeing Palestine is freeing the land where so many of them were born and the vast majority of them live in. So if they want to be free, where they live, where they were born, must be free. And they do not understand this because, again, as we said, ideologies of supremacy make you separate yourself from the rest of reality, and they have separated themselves from the land that they were born in. And this creates a distortion of the mind that will not allow them to be free. And this connects me to your song, Palestine, oh Palestine. By calling for your freedom, I will set me free. You cannot be free if you do not call for the freedom of Palestine. ישראלים, יהודים, עברים, אם לא תקראו לשחרר את פלסטין, לעולם לא תהיו חופשיים. לעולם.
כן. Do you want to take some questions?
Yeah, let's see. I don't remember who said this, but the rubble itself is full of certain chemicals that hundreds of thousands of people breathed in, and that is likely to take a few years of lifetime as well.
Wow.
Yes.
Fuck.
Don't stop talking about Palestine. It's definitely not over.
Right.
And also, I want to say that to me, people talking about what's going on in Palestine is an opportunity for a worldwide revolution.
Yeah.
The revolution in Palestine is only a microcosm of the worldwide revolution that is necessary, both to free Palestine and to free the entire planet. What else? You asked the Palestinian what they think of you saying you haven't done enough.
I never asked this.
We talked about this to several Palestinians.
Yeah.
Did we do enough? Are we doing the right thing?
Yeah, but you know, some of them say yes. Some of them tell me that even by staying here, I'm collaborating with the Zionist regime. So,
Yes.
like, there's no, you know, Palestinians are
Palestinians are not monolith.
Yeah, they have different opinions on it. But I think like some stuff I did were meaningful to a lot of people. This I can say because of my unique position, saying what we're saying is meaningful. Like and maybe it's something to say that what we're doing has a tremendous costs.
Yes.
Alon is suffering from persecution that you cannot maybe say details what it is, but
because it's an ongoing legal process.
Yeah,
I can say very little about what's going on, but I will say the minimal things that I think are critical. What is happening, and I'm afraid of saying this because I don't know what the consequences of me even saying this are. But what is happening is that some people are using the Israeli judicial system in order to persecute me politically just because of my opinions, just because I oppose all violence, just because I oppose oppressive regimes. They are using, see the irony, they are using the judicial system of the oppressive regime to try to silence me into, stopping to express my political opinions. And this is an ongoing process. It has damaged me greatly already. It is something that is occupying my life now for several months, and I don't know what the consequences of this will be in the end, but it's very scary. Okay, it's very scary, And I will not shut up because of this. Never will I shut up because they try to silence me. But just I want people to know that us saying the things that we are saying has serious consequences, both potentially and in practice.
Yeah. And I'm saying that sometimes yesterday, just suddenly I got, there was a lot of messages and somebody like linked a government thing on my Instagram. And suddenly I got a situation that was very scary on the train that I felt I could be lynched if like, it didn't get to that, but it felt like it could develop if the person.
Yeah, it sounded like a scene from a movie.
Yeah, and I live in fear. I don't know, like, and I feel like that the consequences of what we're doing is not. I don't understand it yet, but in a way, the moment I start speaking, saying out loud, I'm an anti-Zionist. I reject I want to dismantle the state and create a democracy between the river and the sea. It's like. You're out of the society. It's
even saying Palestine time,
time, yeah.
Even calling this place Palestine, even saying that this is Palestine time is treason.
It's
to the vast majority of Zionists, if not to all of them, it's treason, okay?
Yeah.
And you can be considered a terror supporter or whatever just because you call this place Palestine, okay?
Yeah.
Just understand how severe the deformity of thought and discourse is here.
Yeah, so I don't know. Sometimes I get into anxiety. Yesterday, I just thought maybe I should take off all of my material, but
yeah. And
I don't know. It's not, and every time I compare it to what Palestinians are going through, and especially in Gaza, I feel like okay, it's nothing. But
but it's not nothing.
But it's not nothing.
So yes, what Palestinians in Gaza and in the West Bank and everywhere are going through is worse in many senses, in most senses, than what we are going through or potentially would go through. But it doesn't mean that what we're going through is okay. It just means that what they're going through is so horrific that even 1% of it is still horrific. It's still scary. It's still, mind-numbingly scary.
But like I said, for me, it's like kind of an oath, to speak for Palestinians, for Free Palestine, I don't know if I will always, sometimes I think of moving out until the Zionist regime falls and, maybe, or so I can be more free to do my music, to feel more safe. But maybe being a political rebel is you need to accept the unsafety. Maybe if you want to feel 100% safe, you cannot be truly a dissident,
Yes.
Anywhere. Like, I don't think, like, speaking out for Palestine anywhere, there's some consequences. Also in Europe, also in the US, like, and speaking against, Western imperialism and I want to speak more and more like this channel is called like Sound of Anarchy. I want to speak against the existence of states in general. I think because to me this is big, maybe the biggest part. The institutions that allow genocides to happen usually are these hierarchies that built by order followers who can be nice to a person in the street and then go to get on a plane and kill thousands of people. Like this thing, this is big part of what I wanna more and more speak up against.
And use your musical talents against, I would assume.
Yeah.
But this leads me to another thing that we were talking about before. Like, both Elik and myself never wanted to be, resistance activists. We did it wasn't our dream. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't want to fight Nazis all my life. I didn't want to do it. I wanted to think about math. I wanted to, I don't know, watch cinema and analyze cinema. I wanted to play music. I wanted to do all kinds of stuff. You wanted to do other stuff. I wanted to teach. But we find ourselves in a situation where the world is in such a horrible place that just living our lives normally, just continuing to do what we wanted to do in the most regular of senses, it feels like cooperation, and it feels like cooperation with the oppressive system. It feels like we need to repress everything that's going on around us. It feels like we have to compartmentalize. And I don't know, just for a pragmatic example, if I wanted to continue doing math, I would have to be in university, and I know the opinions of my former colleagues in university about what's going on here. They support what's going on here to various degrees, and I would have to fight with them all the time. Okay,
Yeah.
so so you have to also stop talking. You have to also stop thinking what you're thinking, because if you think what you're thinking and you listen all the time to people justifying it, at some point you're going to explode. At some point. So it's impossible to continue doing what we wanted to do without cooperating with the system to some extent. So we find ourselves becoming resistance fighters, not because we wanted to, but because we are in some sense forced to.
Yeah. But you can also be just not care about it, and then life
I
will
don't
be
think
okay.
you can. I don't think you can. Like you started from a place where you didn't care about it, right? Like 2-3 years ago, you were like, yeah, I don't care about politics. One of those.
Let
people.
me smoke pot and play music. That's what I wanted to do.
And what happened? What happened?
I think some part in me that I suppressed woke up. It started by reading The Ethnic Cleansing of Palestine by Ilan Pape. And then it started, as a young person, I did think about this a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But this book is very powerful, and I was walking in Tel Aviv, and every place around every corner I saw like suddenly they erased history, and I was like, and then I understood that it's still going on, and I kind of got, I felt like I cannot take it out of me. But I don't know, other people who read this book and say it's another book, So I don't know. I think I suppressed this part that cares about these issues, and it just woke up again through this book. It's not, maybe if, I don't know.
I don't think this book was the start of it. I don't think. I think it was like you chose to read this book as well. Something inside Elikov 3 years ago or whatever it was said, "Oh, I want to read this book. Why?
Yeah.
Why?"
Yeah.
I think it's an important question to ask, because maybe it also sheds light on how other people can be woken up.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. I think I feel for me it's both the moral aspect, but also the wish to understand stuff. I always felt like I want to understand what's going on. And living here, like, I think that the moment, like if you're a liberal Zionist, you don't understand what's going on. Like you kind of, because you have this belief that make you feel like you want to be good, because you want to have peace. You have all these values and things that you think about yourself, but then you find yourself justifying things that you object to all the time, and that's what was always felt to me. And until like I heard Ilan Pape explaining the concept of settler colonialism and how it implies here, and then when I heard him, like I read the book and I heard interviews, I was like, oh, finally I understand what's going on.
Yes.
And why things are unfolding the way they are unfolding. Why, like I felt suddenly things made sense.
Yes.
And I understood that what is the extra jump I have to do if I want to be aligned with my own values.
Yes.
Like something in me couldn't stand a contradiction.
But I want to address something like this idea of being able to disconnect from politics, okay, and like just go about your own personal business and still be a liberal or whatever. It's a fantasy, and we see this. We were talking before we went live. I read Elik this post that someone who I used to know from Facebook because of his vegan activism, okay, activism for animal rights, and I used to kind of appreciate the way that he spoke, but now I see even when looking backwards, there was always a problematic aspect. And he's a clinical psychologist. I will do a dramatic reading of a translation to English of this post, not here, but on my live session, because I think it sheds so much light on like the psychology of Zionism in general and liberal Zionists.
The ethics of hate.
So exactly. So the thing is that he posted just a week ago about how he is proud of his new ethics of hate, his ethical, and this is a guy who, vegan, wants compassion, wants, to has liberal values, and he finds himself saying that he has now an ethical system based on hate. Hate for who? For whom? Hate for Hamas. Okay, so and he's saying that the most ethical thing that he can do is hate Hamas and everything that this implies. But this also implies genocide. Okay, so you cannot.
He said not just Hamas.
Yes. He also expanded this to the entire population of Gaza in some sense. Okay, so you cannot ignore. You cannot say, I'm just living my own life, because this pushes you to adopting ethics of hate. This will be your ethics. Your ethics will be ethics of hate, and then you can either embrace it and say, yes, I'm proud of it. He's saying, I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not ashamed of it that I have ethics of hate. I don't think you need to be a clinical psychologist in order to understand that if someone is saying that they are not ashamed of something, that this suggests that they are ashamed of it. Okay, so he's saying, I'm not ashamed of it. I have ethics of hate. So this is one route that you can go. This is, I think, the negative route. And the positive route, the constructive route, is saying, oh, hold on. What the fuck happened to me?
Yeah.
What the fuck happened to me? Maybe I should,
check what's going on.
Check what's going on.
My psyche and inside my.
And deconstruct and go in another direction. Maybe. Which is what we are trying to do all the time.
Yeah. You want to look at some stuff, people, right?
Yes, but I think it would be a good idea to do what Daniel suggested, and for you to tell about this protest that you went to. Let's see if there are comments. A free country for all Jews, Christians, and Muslims. Love you and pray for your safety. From an Arab Muslim lady. Thank you, but I also want to add a free country for atheists as well.
Yeah.
For anyone, regardless of their religion, religious beliefs, and also to everyone, period. Regardless of their, species, for example.
Yeah.
Let me see. I live in Germany, and my package from USA got returned because I have ordered a watermelon keychain and a shirt.
Wow.
See, this is where this leads you to these ridiculous places where you have to police watermelon.
Wow. But the fact that it's happening also, not just here, and it's crazy.
Yes, in Germany, they also police everything. Do you believe it's really information and education that could make people wake up, or is it more an emotional maturity or psychological development? What do you think?
I think it's more the latter, but you need the education. Like, okay, I got some. Let's say I was in a process, but if I wouldn't have people who would educate me, I wouldn't understand.
Yes, it's very hard to do it on your own.
Yeah,
if not impossible.
And especially figures, for me, what the figures that were essential were people from my society who did this, like Ilan Pape, Miko Peled, Roni Balkan. After I also started listening to people like to Palestinians who speak about it, and then like that made the shift. But I think I first needed to see that it's possible to be from this society, and then like it helped.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we have a role too. I wish I would help more people to deconstruct their own Zionism and come up in the other side and see that they're fine, that you don't need all this heritage that we got from our ancestors that is mainly based on, some people are so in love with this story. I was talking to a guy, and I asked him if it was a musician that I played with, and he was like, I asked him, do you ever think about leaving? And he said, no, I like the story too much.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, this story is a horror story. It's a story of, even if you believe in that story, how can a person like a story that says we're hated because who we are everywhere on the planet, and it's our eternal fate,
mm-hmm.
and our only way to ensure to be protected is to be in the middle of a place that everybody hates us, and to continue to kill and kill and kill and kill
and die.
And die and die and die and kill and die and kill and die, and inside this try to maintain some normalcy. It's like it's insane. And he said, I like the story. And I'm like, why do you like the story? It's a horror story. Why? And I think like there are many things in the Zionist story that is appealing to people. The heroism, the uniqueness, the feeling.
Yeah, exceptionalism.
Exceptionalism. We are not just other people. We have the Jewish faith that made us come here, and but it's very sad, and it reminds me about this. I think we talked about it, like the movie The Fall of Hitler, right?
Yes. I think it was on the live on my channel.
Yeah, at the end, the wife of Goebbels poisoned herself and all the other her kids, and she said, I don't want to live in a world that doesn't have National Socialism.
Yes.
Like she was so in love with
yes.
ideology. So I feel with Zionism, it's a bit... And then I want to show people think to me about me that I kind of gave up my identity, and maybe no, I gave up the most disgusting and shitty part of my identity.
And manufactured. It's not my real identity. It's something that was manufactured. We always talk about how much Israeli identity, Zionist ideology is manufactured, is engineered to make people complicit and accomplices and serve this system, this cult. Okay, this is why we call it a cult, because there are stories, narratives that are manufactured in order to capture more and more people of a certain group to serve this system and to dedicate their lives to this system and to sacrifice their lives to this system and to sacrifice their psychology, to sacrifice their spirituality, to sacrifice their emotions, to sacrifice their morality, to sacrifice everything.
Yeah.
For this system. It's not my true identity. It's not anyone's true identity. It's something that was manufactured in order to control people, and that's why we need to dismantle and deconstruct it immediately and fully.
I don't know what is true identity, but I feel like in a more spiritual sense, any identity is kind of a lie. But if we do play the game of identities, I prefer my identity to be built on the values that I believe in, and then I feel that it's shared with people, not because of some arbitrary categories like Jew or stuff that I didn't choose, that doesn't mean so much to me. It's like, I can decide that because I was born a man or being constructed socially as a man, that it's become a huge part of who I am. But for me, it's like, okay.
And I want to return to to the question.
Yeah.
Do you think it's information and education that can help people wake up, or is it an emotional maturity or psychological development? It's both, but I think it's a third thing as well, which is a change in the material conditions. We must understand that all Zionists are to some extent prisoners of this cult.
Yeah.
If they knew better, they would not be part of this cult. But they are trapped in a situation where even considering changing their mind is highly dangerous, as we said. Living in occupied Palestine as a Jewish Israeli person who does not agree with this structure, with the Zionist project, with the Zionist cult, who goes against the Zionist cult, and the moment you start thinking about deconstructing your own identity as someone who is part of the Zionist project, who is a Zionist, who is an Israeli, who is a Jew, the moment you start deconstructing it, is the start of a process that will lead you almost necessarily to being against this, okay? Because you will start seeing all the violence and all the oppression. So the moment you start questioning this identity, it starts becoming dangerous. And I think on some level, all the people who are part of the Zionist cult know this. They feel this. They know that if they start questioning, it is very dangerous towards them, for them, because they see all the backlash that people like us get. They see it, and it's felt all around. So it's a situation where people are trapped, even if they want, on some level, even if they understand on some level, if they want on some level to free themselves. It's very, very difficult. On a very, pragmatic level, there are material consequences for freeing yourself from this cult, and heavy material consequences. It's not something that is trivial. Okay, so we have to understand that if we want to help Zionists step out of this, we have to change the material conditions around in this place.
Yeah. So yeah, that's why we put a lot of effort to talk to the outside world to make this pressure, because I don't think, unfortunately, if I would believe I have the power to convince many Zionists to change their mind. And by the way, what leading to, and it's also something to say about this genocide and what happened, I still feel it's not that I lost the bonding feeling that I have to people around me and to this community and nationality, if you can call. I don't like the term nationality, but I do feel connected to these people that live here and to my friends and to my family. And I'm afraid that, let's say, if it's not going to be changed peacefully, in some way peaceful, it could be very, very bloody.
Yes.
Maybe what we saw on the 7th of October is just a bit, because it will have to be brought down at some point. And if it's going to be brought down when there's, let's say, I don't know, military defeat, by the way of military defeat, it's for sure way more people is going to die in that way. And some like Zionists think that you can commit a genocide in the heart of the middle of the Arab Muslim world when you're surrounded by Muslims and Arabs who see this and they're infuriated. It's like think about like Jews that have to sit down and see Jews being massacred, and next to them, and they cannot do anything to help them, and they carry this rage. And at some point, there's going to be the regimes in the Arab world are not stable. So many things can go against Zionists, and in a way, I feel what they fear, that they always say we have to do this because they're going to kill us.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, right?
Yeah, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, because if they, let's say, I believe that even today, after what Israel have done, if would come like a Zionist leader who is honest and would come to the Palestinian people and say, we're sorry for what we did to you in the last 76 years. We recognize the Nakba, we recognize the genocide, we recognize the apartheid that we installed since everything. We want to make it right. We're sorry. Let's put a plan to create an equality. I believe that the Palestinians could forgive, but there's nothing like this that could ever be.
A Zionist leader cannot, by definition, be in this position. Just cannot. Only a Hebrew leader can do it. Only a Hebrew leader.
A Hebrew leader who.
And I also think that leaders cannot do it.
So any
leaders are again, by their very nature, they thrive on separation. They thrive on violence. They thrive on fear. The moment that there is all these things, separation, violence, and fear, hierarchies are formed, because hierarchies are like this thing that enables people to feel more safe, even though it doesn't give them actual safety, but it enables them to feel more safe. So hierarchies thrive on violence and separation.
But you don't think that at some point, because I feel that leaders do have some role. I don't know, not necessarily political leaders, but maybe people that people look up to, and they do some ceremony of, recognition, and then people can allow themselves.
I think we need to, like every term that we use, we need to understand that this term has been hijacked by all the systems of oppression around us.
Yeah.
And the term, so democracy, justice, freedom, all these terms were spirituality, everything, education, everything was appropriated and deformed by systems of oppression. And the term leaders is also like this. So leader is, so there are two kinds of things. One kind of phenomenon is someone who imposes their will on others using force and intimidation. This is one form of leader. Another form of leader is someone who is so inherently powerful and inherently attractive that people want to follow them and want to listen to them just because of who they are.
Yeah.
And this is also, and in the middle there are people who are very manipulative, okay, and pretend to be the second kind, even though they are the first kind, because they use tactics of manipulation to make people follow them. So we need to differentiate between these two phenomena. The first phenomenon is obviously negative and destructive, and the second phenomenon, maybe it's bad. I don't know. I want to be very cautious because as an anarchist, I don't want to agree immediately to the existence of leaders. Why can't we all just be leaders of our own selves and lead? Why can't we all lead everyone to a better future together?
Yeah.
Like why not? What is the problem with that?
Yeah, I think, but it's okay that some people do performative acts that then they pave the way to people to go through some process as well. It's like, when I choose to be a musician and to go to on a stage and do things, I'm a leader at this specific point.
Yes.
And it helps people, and then they become leader in other situations. Like, I don't think
I experienced you leading a jam session and leading musical sessions, and I experienced being your follower for a few minutes, for an hour, whatever.
But it was empowering you, right?
Yes, it was amazing. It helped me connect to myself and to my own power much more than before. You brought some knowledge, some expertise, some skills, some connection to something deep and something that you worked very hard for to connect with your musical abilities and talent, and then you brought it, and I felt like I didn't have any choice but to follow you, But it wasn't manipulation; it was something true. It was something that was honest.
Yes, that's cool. Thank you for saying that.
It's just the truth. It's just what I felt. So you want to tell about this action that you did in front of Hakelia?
Yeah, we did it twice.
Yes.
It was with a group called Radical Bloc. They're really cool. It's the only group in Tel Aviv that I feel connected to when they do demonstrations, because they go and say straightforward stuff against Zionism, against. And we went to the main military headquarters where all the soldiers, it's not a combat soldier, but it's the main intelligence place.
It's the headquarters of the Israeli army.
Yeah.
It's in the middle of Tel Aviv. They talk about human shields, blah, 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 blah. In the middle of Tel Aviv, one of the biggest army bases in Israel. There are tens of thousands of soldiers there who come to work every single day. I came to work there every single day for 3 years when I was doing my army service. I went to an office. It's like The Office, the show The Office. It's like that, only wearing uniforms. and being harassed by police, by military police, if you're not clean shaven, or if your shoes are not buffed, or if you forgot your fucking metal thing with your name on it. It's just an office job with more oppression and without a paycheck, basically.
Yes. And we were shouting, and we took, like, it was really weird because we stood with megaphone and we shouted them, like, basically you're taking part of in genocide, you're taking part, and they all walk and they just look so indifferent. Like, some of us look as if we're psychos, and we hold, like, the picture of a dead, but it's like direct, this is what you're doing, this is what you're taking part of, and they look at us. It was such a weird situation. I don't know how to explain it. And I know, like, we put them, I really hope if some of them, we got them maybe feel something, but it was so weird to see this blank,
Blank stare.
Like as if they don't even know what we're talking about. Like they look like, and at some point when people look at you, you feel like, am I crazy? And then, like, I remind myself, no, I'm seeing the reality the way it is. But and I did live on Instagram, so people around the world, like, see it too. So they like, and it was really interesting. There was one guy, Palestinian guy, who said he recognized one woman who tortured him in Sdet Iman.
Wow.
Did you see this? You didn't know? It was on the post from the first demonstration. He said, like, this. He saw her face and he said he recognized her.
From the demonstration that you went to, and she was just walking.
Yeah, the video went viral, the one that the Radical Bloc did, and he recognized.
Okay.
He recognized the face.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know if she tortured him specifically, but she was working in State Iman doing something, whatever. And she, you see her with the phone, super indifference to us. Just
girl boss energy.
Yeah, with the coffee and the like. And I was, the banality of evil. It's exactly that. Like, she's just a normal person doing her job. And on the other side, there's people being tortured in the most brutal ways. It's like fucking Israel is a death factory, the whole state apparatus, and think what it's doing to its own people. That it makes them being part of it,
yes,
and it trains them to think that they're not part of it, and that they're not responsible, and that they're just normal, and then they don't understand why suddenly the world hates them. Mm-hmm. But the world is correct by hating them, because the world see it the way it is. You see, like, you guys are being part of
Yes, they have no reason to participate in this story.
Yeah.
Unless they're liberals, unless they're for capitalism, and this is part of capitalism, so they might have a reason, and then they cooperate with the Zionist narrative. But most people in the world have no vested interest in this Zionist narrative, so they just see reality for what it is. And they're like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, and then Israelis are like, what do you want from us? We're just normal people, and we're going to the army. And
we're for LGBTQ rights, we're vegan, we're this, we're this.
We did this thing in the army for 3 years, so what? And it's not our fault, because it's a chain of command, and it's so, And what's funny is that the only person who was officially got executed by court was Adolf Eichmann. Mm-hmm. And what was his line of defense? It was, I was following orders.
Yes.
And Israel...
It's almost a cliche here in Israel because of this.
It's a cliche, but all the people in this society are order followers. And it's and I don't know how you heal such society. I don't know how you explain to people that they are accountable. It's not fun for me to, when I was yelling at these soldiers, "You're martyrs," fart in me felt like bad. It could be me a few years ago. It could be my cousin. It could be people I know. I felt like, and they look young, and they don't, and I feel like they don't understand what they're doing, and I don't want to, and I feel it's not fair, because, but.
I want to tell the audience what I told you when we were talking about this this protest a day or two after it, and we had this discussion, basically this discussion, and I told Eddie, imagine, so we were talking about, could we be in this situation? What if we were born in 2006, okay? And then today we would be 18, 19 years old, okay?
Yeah.
And we would have to serve in the Israeli army, okay? And I told Elik, I think when the genocide started, okay, so when I was 18, I said I called myself a pacifist, but the law says that you have to be drafted to the Israeli army when you're 18. There's no real choice unless you want to go to prison or you want to make trouble. And I wasn't brave enough. I wasn't powerful enough. I wasn't connected enough to myself. But I did say that I don't want to do it, which is highly irregular, highly rare in Israeli society. But my family told me that I have to do it.
Yeah.
My grandfather pressured, my parents pressured. You don't want to be different. You don't want to make trouble. Just do it.
Yeah,
Just do it.
And
Just
they
do it.
tell you in this society you wouldn't get along after.
Yes.
It will be difficult
Which
to
is
find
true.
job.
Which is true.
My parents, all their effort was one that I will not be combat soldier, but
Yes.
that I will still do something, like
Yes.
to find some kind of compromise.
So that you won't be judged by Israeli society, which you will if you don't serve in the army. Just so people understand, if you do not serve in the Israeli army, then this will cause you problems for the rest of your life inside Israeli society. Obviously, 100% it will cause you problems, and maybe severe problems with employment, with everything. But when I was doing my army service, there was not a single day that went by without me actively thinking about going to a kaban, like a mental health officer, and telling them if I continue with the service, I will commit suicide. Please let me get out of it. Which will also cause problems because then you're branded as someone who's insane, has mental issues. So what I told Elik was that I think if I was 18, 19 years old when such a genocide happened, it would make me actually do it and go and say I cannot participate in this. But I don't know for sure. I don't know. What do you think, Elik? Would this take you out of this? Would you see the genocide happening and go I cannot take part in it? What do you think?
Yeah, I was thinking, what would I do if I was a soldier in this time and I would see a group of activists like me today telling me you have to take off your uniforms. Only by wearing uniforms you're part of it.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes. So what I told Elik, and this is why I'm telling you.
I took part in things that I really didn't like, but it wasn't like direct killing. So I told myself, okay, I will swallow it, But
Yes.
I did.
Yes, maybe we should do an episode where we talk about our military service in the most open and frank ways possible. We will do an episode of One State Solution, I think, just about this.
I want to believe that at this point I would say, because I had enough political awareness to see what's going on and to see that it's horrific, and I hope I would be able to say, I'm not part in this. I'm not taking part in this organization anymore.
Yes, we want to think that, but we're not sure.
We're not sure.
But what I told Elik was, imagine the Alon and Elik of now. Imagine ourselves or our parallels who happened to be born in 2005, 2006, and are now serving in the army, and they feel like something is very, very wrong, and they don't want to participate in it, but they are too scared to say anything. They're too scared to make this leap, to say we don't want to cooperate with this anymore, and to take action into stepping out of this situation. What would be their response to you being in such a protest and doing what you're doing and telling them you are murderers, don't cooperate, you are murderers? I think that the Alon and Elik of now, who are serving in the army now, this would be very meaningful to them in many different ways. For one meaningful way would be that they would feel less alone, that they would know that there are other people who see things in the way that they see things, and that they're not crazy. Like maybe they would say, oh, they are crazy like I am crazy, but if you're on your own, then it's easier to think that you're crazy compared to a situation where you are surrounded by other people who agree with you. So this would be one effect. And the other effect would maybe they would start thinking about things and start saying, yeah, this is really, really bad. Maybe I should stop. Maybe I should refuse. So I think you want to ask, what effect did my actions have on people who don't care or who are very much closed off? Maybe it had very little effect, but maybe it had a bigger effect on people who are slightly open and who do want to do the right thing. And also, I think that what you did there, let's imagine, soldiers coming to work, to the office in the morning, and they see this protest. And of course, they go like this, and they continue, and they don't look at you, and they don't listen to you. But they heard you.
Yeah,
they heard you. They know exactly what you're doing there.
Yeah.
They're not stupid.
Yeah.
They might be ignorant, they might be brainwashed, but they're not stupid. They know exactly what you're doing there, and they know what you're trying to say. And then they go to the office, and then the thing that, 10, 20 people did, it starts so many conversations, thousands of conversations inside this military base. In that day, the entire military base was talking about what you guys did.
Yeah.
And of course, the Alon and I who are serving in the army now heard about it.
Yeah.
Of course they heard about it. And they found themselves in the conversation about it, and maybe they said a few things that were, considered extreme and problematic, and maybe they shut up. But something happened. So I don't know exactly what happened, but I think it was very meaningful what you did.
Yeah, but sometimes I think maybe it's not just pointing the finger is not enough. Maybe you need to do pointing the finger, but you also need to say, okay, if you're having doubts, come and talk to me, to create groups that saying to not just soldiers, any Israel, like this is something I know I want to do. Like to people who are having doubts about the narrative, about the Zionist story, but they're afraid to speak up, and like to open kind of support groups.
Yes.
And to help them think about it, like it's important, because I feel
this is what we're doing here as well.
Yeah.
It's not disconnected from what we're doing here.
No, it's not disconnected, right? But I want to say, if you guys, somebody sees it and you want to speak up, but you're afraid, or you are still feel connected to the story, but you're very disturbed with what's going on, and you want to have conversations, I'm here. I'm
yes, please talk to us. I don't know if such people exist. I have no idea.
I have no idea.
But if you have doubts about Zionism, talk to us. If you have doubts about Zionism, talk to us, please. אם אתם לא בטוחים לגבי הציונות, אם אתם לא בטוחים לגבי מדינת ישראל, אם אתם לא בטוחים לגבי השירות הצבאי שלכם, אם אתם לא בטוחים לגבי רצח העם בעזה, אם אתם לא בטוחים האם זה רצח עם או לא רצח עם, אם אתם לא בטוחים מה דעתכם לגבי זה שהרגו 17,000 ילדים, שרצחו 17,000 ילדים בעזה, ואם יש לכם ספקות, אם אתם רוצים מישהו שיקשיב לכם וידבר איתכם, בלי שיפוטיות, בצורה הכי מכילה שיש, בואו דברו איתנו, תשלחו לנו הודעה באינסטגרם. I just said in Hebrew, come to us, okay? It was important for me to say it in Hebrew.
Yeah. Over here. Okay, מעולה. Maybe I should write down my email also.
Maybe just write down your Instagram so that people send you a message on Instagram. What do you say?
Okay. So my Instagram is, איך עושים קו תחתון?
I will write it down. Like this, right?
Yeah.
This is Alex's Instagram. What else did we want to talk about, or have we been going on for long enough?
I think we said much.
Let's see if there are like comments that we want to react to, and then wrap it up. What do you say?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I feel like my throat is dry already. I appreciate your hard work. I've read so many Israeli authors who criticize their country in a way to pressure it to see itself from the Palestinian viewpoint. I have hope for a better future. Can you write down the names of the others? I don't know many of them.
Yeah.
Interesting. Israeli authors.
Ilan Pape.
Who else?
Who else? No, there is. Yes, there are many.
People were asking about standing together. I will say my opinion in very succinctly. They are Zionists. They are accomplices of the Zionist regime. They are normalizers. They support the two-state solution. They do not support one democratic state for all. They do not support equality and justice. Not really. Yes, they're against the genocide. The current phase of the genocide. They're against this, but only because it damages, Israeli society. Basically because of that. I don't believe that standing together are truly pro-Palestine and are truly pro-justice and freedom. Do you see anything that you want to react to, Elik?
Let's see. I wonder if I wanted to add something about standing together, but I don't know. Because I have questions about, like, there are some activities that I think that they did that were valuable, and I have more. I agree with you on the large aspect of it, but
I might agree with you on those small details.
I joined.
Contradict.
Yeah, it doesn't. I joined few of their demonstrations because
Yes.
I felt that it was valuable. So I don't take it away completely.
You can have tactical cooperations with people who are fundamentally against your cause. You can have this. Although I'm doubting this more and more. This is actually
yeah, it's a question.
productive.
I don't know.
Yeah,
because I went with them and I felt good. We were protesting, but I felt I could not shout what I really want to shout. So yeah, I prefer to collaborate with radical bloc and groups that are.
What do you think will happen when these soldiers come back into society after everything they have done? They could cause danger for their own people. Yes, of course. Of course, a lot of domestic violence is the result of
suicide,
domestic violence. I feel like Israeli
what will
society
happen
is very
people
violent.
with families. You
Yes,
know, what is it doing to the?
A lot of people are financially ruined because they spent the last 15 months or the vast majority, a big part of the last 15 months in reserve service. People are families are collapsing. We know personally a lot of people who are financially ruined. I think this is one of the main reasons why the ceasefire happened now. Why people are supporting the ceasefire, because they just cannot go on.
They just cannot go on.
Even if they want to, they just can't.
Yeah.
Did you grow up in Israel? Were you born there? You sound disconnected from it, understandably. Yeah, we were both born in occupied Palestine. It was called Israel. We lived here all our lives.
When we are disconnected.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like we didn't choose to be disconnected.
I still feel connected in some level to people, to friends, to scenes, places that I love, to certain groups, but yeah, it's getting harder and harder.
Yes, to feel connected to this society, it's getting harder and harder. Please talk about Gideon Levy. I come to my live session tomorrow. I will read some stuff. Okay, I will read the post that I talked about from the psychologist, and I will read an article by Gideon Levy, and I will explain why Gideon Levy is problematic. Okay, I'm not saying that he's evil or anything. Okay, I'm saying he's a Zionist and he's problematic. That's all I'm saying. Okay.
I think, like, a lot of time when we and you differ, that I feel like, but he did so many positive stuff too, and you say, like, if he's a Zionist, it's a bit takes away from the positive stuff that he did, maybe. But even though, what makes him a Zionist? He's now, I heard him talk, and he says one state for all, and like,
I don't know, Zionist. He's on the boundary. He is a Zionist, he's on the boundary, okay?
Yeah.
But I feel like it's important to say our honest opinions about people. And I read several articles written by Gideon Levy in the last few weeks, which maybe even more doubtful of his actual dedication to justice and freedom for all than I was before. And I can just read the articles and interpret them, and you can make up your own minds. I'm not telling anyone what to think. I'm telling you my own opinion. If you trust my opinion, good. If you don't, read it for yourself.
Yeah.
Someone said, והנה הלך הארגון היחיד שניסיתי להצטרף אליו, לול. And there goes the only organization that I tried to join, laugh out loud, lol. So you are Israeli, we assume, right? So again, don't take my word for it or our word for it.
His name was some Israeli, Avi Shleim, Meron Ben Benishti. Yeah, actually, Meron Ben Benishti also changed a lot of my thinking.
I never heard of him.
He's the first one to say that you cannot reverse the occupation of 67, that we're heading to one state situation. He's still a Zionist in a way, but he was...
So what organizations do you actually recommend to join if you are Israeli? Maybe this radical bloc that you were talking about, but it's hard to find them. It's hard to... maybe they have a page on Instagram, right?
Yeah.
Radical bloc. Look them up on Instagram. And try to send them a message, and maybe they will answer your message. I don't know because the sad truth is that there are very few people who are actually working towards justice and freedom inside occupied Palestine. This is a sad fact. Okay, so many questions. What do you say, Elik?
It's questions, but it's okay.
You could join any of the Arab Palestinian movements. There's no shortage, and most will accept you. Maybe you can write down. Names of organizations. I think Elik and I would want to cooperate with them as well.
Yeah.
Because I don't know about. You say you could join any of the Arab Palestinian movements. I don't know any of them. I don't know. Yeah, Zochrot is a good organization as well. Zochrot is good. Yeah. They are actually anti-Zionist, yes.
But I think people like us, we need more to join, like Palestinian.
Yes. We want to do it.
And so it's not all the time easy. Like someone told me, like, girl, I know that in Haifa here they're speaking Arabic, and by principle they don't want to speak Hebrew. It's like, you want to join us, fine, but you will not understand, and you have to.
Maybe I can just come and sit and learn Arabic through this.
I think this is what we have to do.
Because I'm learning Arabic now. Maybe it's a good idea. It's a good idea to come and join Palestinians in Haifa who are speaking Arabic and to not understand anything to begin with.
Yeah.
And to learn Arabic.
And to experience a bit, being, we're so to experience how, because it will be, if you're serious about having a free Palestine, we will need to get used to the situation where Arabic is spoken around us and we don't understand.
Why I'm learning Arabic. To connect with this. There's also Haifa Left, yes. We also cooperated with Haifa Left, but this is mainly Jews. There are a few Palestinians there. Is there an Israeli left really, or just liberal Zionism? You two guys are rare. Yeah. There's not many actual leftists inside Jewish Israeli society. This is a sad truth. The head of Balad is doing a podcast. What is the name of the podcast? What is the name of
I don't know.
We don't know about this. Maybe you can write down the name of the podcast. Why don't you join? This is not an ulpan to learn Arabic. What is this? Is not an ulpan? I don't know about this.
I think it's a place that people can learn Arabic, and it has more like
there was some
Zionist vibe.
There was some woman from Gaza who was doing Arabic lessons. Maybe you could take some lessons from her and also get some insights. Sami Abu Shahade. Yeah, Sami Abu Shahade. Yeah. YouTube page. Okay. We will look up some. Maybe we can talk to Sami Abu Shahade. I remember seeing like 2 or 3 years ago, after the murder of Shirin Abu Akleh, the Palestinian journalist. I heard him talk to Rafi Reshef, who is like the most mainstream Zionist, broadcast personality. They had an argument, a discussion, and it was one of the most powerful moments that I ever saw. Like Rafi Reshef was being so condescending and supremacist towards Sami Abu Shahade, and Sami answered him very, very directly, very, very, powerfully. I admire this guy ever since. So maybe we could talk to him. Maybe it would be a good idea. Okay. So maybe send on our Instagram, send us, or maybe comment on the live on the video that will be uploaded after we finish the live. Comment some organizations that we can join, people that we can speak to, with an emphasis on Palestinians who are working towards one democratic state for all.
Yeah, I wonder, should I add my mail also, or I don't know, because some people don't have. I don't know if everybody are on Instagram, but where is the comment?
Let me see. We have a technical issue here. Yeah, you can write here.
Oh, okay.
What is going on here? Why is it like this?
So,
yeah, write it.
Oh,
for some reason, the window to write in the chat is not appearing. Oh, here.
all right.
You can write now. Okay.
Okay. All right. I feel a bit drained off from talking. So
yes.
What do you have? Last thing you want to say?
I want to say thank you for allowing me to be your guest on this first live session.
I will just say that I want to start do this kind of stuff more, maybe with music next time. Yeah, I got inspiration from Alon is doing every day, or not every day, but almost.
I had a 7-day streak, and I'm going to do it. I don't know if every day, 3-4 times a week, because every day is really hard. But maybe 3-4 times a week. And I want to say to you, Elik, that I hope that you do it. You do these live sessions, continue with them, and yes, bring your musical talents to this. We're trying to work out the technical issues with live broadcasting music. It's also there are technical issues, but I hope that you do it.
And it's for me, and I think it's an opportunity to think together. How do we create change in this world that genocide is not a possibility, that mass killing is not a possibility, that people are. And it's so many levels, and I feel like, maybe it's the genocide heritage that this question got me from, my ancestors from the Holocaust, that people analyze the Holocaust, and here now we see something in, it was it's a kind of a Holocaust that is ongoing, and we're still, as people, as society, we failed. It means we didn't, so I think it shows us it's either we don't really understand yet why it's happening, and if we know why, we don't know how to act together and to cooperate in an effective way to prevent it. And what happened now in Gaza, it showed that the failure, we failed. At the end, why did it end? And Trump said it's over. And we all, and all the people who were protesting, so it's either we're not doing enough, maybe we're too scared to do a real revolution. I don't know what's the answers, but in the upcoming lives that I will do, I think I want to try to get deeper, so we can, as as a humanity, as living beings, we can understand how we prevent things from that to happen again and again and again and again. That's my summary of this session. And thank you for coming, Alon. You always help me, your presence. And thank you for everyone who participated.
Yes, thank you so much. Amazing comments, amazing people. I feel like there's something happening here. We're really finding more and more people who agree with us, and something is being constructed. It's a long process. It's hard. It's complicated, but
Yeah, and it's
happening.
nice to know we're talking to 60, 70 people. We're already a community. We're already
Yes,
something,
amazing.
and let's keep the conversation going. So thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you so much, and
Free
long live the
Palestine.
revolution and free Palestine and free
Yeah.
the entire planet.
Yes.
Bye bye.
ביי. איפה זה?